A very good evening, everybody. It's Monday night. It's 9 p.m. here in the UK, but not in Vancouver. It's not. And from Vancouver, we're joined by Tops Project 70 artist Lauren Taylor. Lauren, very good evening. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, so I haven't even had lunch yet, but
No,
thanks. I really appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. Thanks for taking the time. And of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Jason. Jason, good evening. How are you?
Doing well, very excited. This is what I've been waiting for. So I cover all the Project 2020, Project 70 stuff. So I'm super excited to have Lauren on the show. I've been following her on Instagram for about 2 years here. She does fantastic work. I can't wait to hear more about the Northwest roots because we have that in common here. And I'm definitely going to throw some questions her way she's probably not expecting.
Yeah, yeah. I was saving it. I didn't mention this in our little sort of 10-minute pre-show while I dealt with the usual technical problems, but yeah, Jason's fanboying pretty hard tonight, Lauren. I'll be honest with you. So he's
You
been
know, I'm flattered.
yeah, yeah. So I could very much just be taking a bit of a back seat in tonight's episode, but that's okay.
Fair enough. Hey,
Yeah.
whatever. I
So
love that you got the kingdom in the background for me.
yeah,
So you know,
yeah, yeah. I tried. I don't have a Seattle hat, so this is actually a Team
it's
Scotland baseball.
close.
Yeah, it's Team Scotland baseball, and it was designed by Jason, so you can see where he got his influence from.
That's
Yeah,
it. Wow. Yeah.
yeah. So as always, everybody, we're live tonight on Twitch. We're on the Tea and Tops Twitch channel tonight. That's twitch.tv/Tea and Tops. We're also live on YouTube. We don't have a fancy YouTube URL yet because we have about 2 subscribers and we need, I think, 100 to get a proper URL. So please give us a like on YouTube. And we're also live on Facebook tonight as well. And as always, if you have any questions as we go through tonight for either myself or Jason, but you're not going to ask Jason and I questions tonight. So if it's questions for Lauren, get them in and I'll catch them as we go.
Perfect.
So, Jason, I'll let you lead.
I'll let you lead. You got the questions here. I got a bunch of questions here. So let you start off.
Well, I suppose first of all we should cover a small bit of admin and say that obviously we usually start with a little bit of news. We're going to forego the news tonight and just get straight into the interview because obviously Lauren has taken time out of a really hectic schedule to come and join us. So I guess Lauren, my first question is, I'm super excited to get a teal autograph of the Lou Gehrig card. So do you know when Tops are delivering your cards? Yeah.
I got a notice today, actually, right before I got on here, that it looks like it's been shipped, and for whatever reason, the larger orders ship quite quickly. So I think I'll have them before the holiday weekend. So as soon as I have them in hand is when I usually post them. I try not to post them before then. So very soon, I would say within a week. So
Excellent.
those should be quick, yeah.
Yeah. Is it going to be another 4 a.m. signing session, or are you hoping to crank it out in better times?
Oh, they'll be at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I've slept very little. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
quite good at it. I'm getting really good at it, which is alarming, but also probably good. I have a bit. I learned a little bit more, after the first one, what took so long and what to kind of avoid. And the hardest part, honestly, was taking that top sticker off. And I bought my stickers to go over the exact same size. And when you pull that top sticker off, the gum line is a. So getting that sticker perfectly on it was I'd have to like hold it just right in the light and like careful. Yeah. So that took a significant amount of time. Like, so that lesson learned there.
Yeah.
Slightly one
It's these
time.
little logistical issues that you don't think of.
Yeah.
They're always the ones,
Think
right?
you're ready to go. You're like, oh, this is going to take me, I'll just do a quick little live and then I'll be done in 2 hours. It was like 3 days later.
just
Oh,
just hanging, right?
yeah, I was like, oh my god, I feel so ill. I'm so tired. But yeah, they're out, and there's still a few orders are still trickling in for the few Aaron Judge ones that are left. But for the most part, starting to see people post mail days and starting to see them pop up. So that's nice.
Yeah, yeah. It must be quite gratifying when you see the people posting pictures of them excitedly opening your cards and stuff like that. I imagine, is it?
It was yeah, because I mean, honestly, in the beginning, it's weird having someone want my autograph. So I was kind of waiting for, it's weird. I kind of am always bracing myself on social media for like getting like burned alive because sometimes social media is terrifying. So I was kind of waiting for the first few people to get it and be like, what the hell is this? Like, just because you never know. But they were all very positive. So I was like, whoo, okay, got that out of the way. I tried to do a really good job of packing and trying to make it look nice. And I've always been very picky about how I place my signature. I know some artists just write over the top, but I've always been very strategic with how I like to sign even my originals and prints. So you'll see that on the Gehrig as well, but I try and, it'll be opposite side of the Gehrig signature that's within the jersey. It'll be on the other shoulder. I try and not disrupt the art and instead complement it. But yeah, I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous for the first few to get posted, but once they did, and people seemed to really appreciate them, and then that kind of brought on a few more sales, but I'm just about out of those. So yeah, it was a success. It's really weird. I was explaining to my parents that my autograph was selling, and they're like, I'm so surprised, God.
Yeah.
But
they've gone to the attic and pulled out your original school photos and said that and put them on eBay these days now.
well, I'm like, my mom's like, well, I bought some. If you sign them, can I put them on eBay? I'm like, well, I guess.
So is it your mum that's got all the bots that's taken all the artist proofs before anyone else can get them?
She is not. She has no bots. I just. My parents every other day are like, so is there a card today? I'm like, nope. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. They're supportive and they want to get it, but it's a lot to grasp when you're not a card collector. And it's kind of getting into this with some people, not getting into it, but trying to. There's a gentleman that's putting kind of a mosaic prism film on top of the card. Yeah. And I was getting tagged in it because my Aaron Judge card. And I'm also learning now, I'm starting to learn, I don't have to respond to every time I'm tagged because I don't have enough hours in the day. And sometimes I swear to God, they're booby traps. But I was like, I don't really care. I just feel like it's a little misleading saying Tops, Project 70, Aaron Judge, number 11, Lauren Taylor, and then just by so-and-so, whoever made it, and leaving the top sticker on there. And I was like, because people like my mother or a friend who's trying to get a gift will think they're buying a really rare version of the card and have no idea that it's just a sticker, like a film, and they don't actually get it. So I was like trying to explain this to people yesterday, that not everybody in this card world understands all the different verbiage. And yeah, it was a fight. It was a fight I wasn't winning. So I just kind of was like, I'm going to head to bed. Good night, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say here. I just, I don't want, it's a confusing world at best, the prisms and the parallels and all the different stuff, the foils, and what weight is my package? And is it a one-of-one?
Yes.
I started doing it though. I'm like, what's the weight of my package? Don't do it. Don't ruin. You're just going to make yourself crazy. Like, stop it. So yeah, it's
to be sure, hands up, I do that. Like, I get everything shipped to an address, and I get the UPS thing. Like, oh, how much? Oh, okay, there's nothing.
So are you the one that I sent to get it shipped, by chance?
No, there's a few different places that do it.
Okay.
That's not me.
I've noticed these places from overseas that have like same with what I do with the States, I guess. But
yeah, you got to go down to Blaine. As I would say, how familiar are you with Blaine?
It's where my mailbox is usually, but I can't get to it right now. So yeah, I'm waiting for that me to be able to cross the border so I can stop paying an arm and a leg for top loaders for prints, and everything in general. It's just
So Graham, just to kind of fill you into this, so there's two ways to kind of get from Vancouver to Seattle. There is the normal way where the Peach Arch is. It's lovely. You get a view of the water. And then you have the trucker way, which is go through Blaine. And that's where everyone goes that way. So if you're a local, you go through Blaine because it's longer and quicker.
Nothing more discouraging though when you go through Blaine and suddenly it's slower and you're like, oh, I've done it. Everyone thinks they're outsmarting it at the same time, and then no one goes to Blaine, and all of us dummies no one goes to the Peace Arch, and all of us dummies that think we're smarter than everyone else, we're just sitting in line together like, whoops. Yeah. Well, playing that one wrong, but yeah, I just I've learned to learn that the border's a toss-up. I just pick one or the other and cross my fingers because,
Yeah, I feel it's worth explaining to the wider audience that both Jason and Lauren hail from the Pacific Northwest. This could get semi-regional at times, but that's perfectly fine.
What are they talking about? What about Border?
Yeah.
To be fair, Graham has been to Seattle and Bellevue, so he knows the area somewhat.
I know the area somewhat. Yeah.
About 2 hours north, you would know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And you'd be as weird as I am at the border crossing. It's like suddenly I forget how to answer very easy questions. Like, do you have $10,000 cash on you? I'm like, no. Like, I start acting so weird. Like, I've never had $10,000 of cash in my life, but suddenly I start talking like I'm hiding. I'm like, No, like, do you? Like, I act an idiot. People in the car with me are always like, we're getting pulled up. We're going to have to go do it. God, like, I know I panicked. And then they ask if I have any weapons. And I suddenly am like, do I have a gun? And of course I don't. Like, I get nervous. I don't know what yeah. So yeah, there you go. Little tip about me.
On that same trip, we made a similar border crossing when we flew cross country to Buffalo and got picked up by one of our friends' dads, and we crossed the US-Canadian border in a minivan with like 8 of us and luggage in it. And I was basically jammed in the back, covered in cases, and just an arm appeared with a passport. And I managed to get in fine. So,
Oh man, yeah. I can be very like, they're like, she's hiding something. I'm like, I'm not. I don't know what happens to me. It's like when I go to the bar, I just get weird. I don't know what happened. I forgot a lot of people. So yeah.
Yeah. So you obviously mentioned a little bit there about the I don't know
Community.
the community. That's
Yes.
that's a very nice way of putting it. The community. So obviously, I think you do really well because you're by far, I think, the most active artist, certainly that on the Facebook community, and I guess that comes with its positive and negative side as well. I won't recant some like the worst of it, but overall in general, how have you found coming into this world of men obsessed by pictures of other men on cards?
Well, like you said, I've always been very engaged in the audience because I think I'm acutely aware that what life was like before this and that I love doing what I do, and without customers and without people buying my art, this is just a hobby. And so I've always tried to engage and show kindness and gratitude. And that's kind of how I built my business, was being very engaged and really active with customers. So suddenly going from, pretty sharp growth anyway over the last year, but then to suddenly be a part of the Tops project as a 1-woman, 2-dog show over here, it was like the increase of things to get done and trying to learn how to hire and let go of things has been a big growing point for me, trying to be okay with not being the last person to touch a shipment, which is still something I'm working on. I still am like, there's no way you know how to put this in the box. I have to do it. Like, of course they do. They can figure it out. But it's kind of my baby. I mean, I grew this. I'm sure we'll get more into this later, but I grew this in the darkest time in my life, and it's something that came out of it, and it's everything to me. So engaging with people is important, but I also am an anxious person, and I don't like when people don't like me, and I'm very even people that shouldn't matter start to matter if they don't like me. And it's something I've struggled with my whole life. And so I've been generally treated really well in these groups, but occasionally, I don't have any problem if someone doesn't like my art, or that's not true. I would love everyone to like my art. No one loves being told like your art looks like hell. No one likes that, but that comes with the territory. So I've gotten better at kind of being like, yeah, okay, whatever, delete. Or anyone could do that. Okay, then do it. Like delete. So those things I'm getting better at. But there was a point where it became about my gender, and that's when I kind of pushed back against the group and was like, enough, or I'm just not going to engage anymore. Don't mistake my kindness as manipulation, because that was what it came down to. People were like, manipulating men who have not been laid by their wives. And that bothered me because it was like taking something that is, I really try and be kind to people. And so then taking that and making it about something different and in such an ugly way, I was like, would you accuse any of the other men artists, the male artists, of doing that if they were being nice to female, collectors? Probably not. And so, it got frustrating for me. And then a few just grotesque comments about, OnlyFans accounts and things like that, where I was just like, I'm going to say something because it's important for me, not only to say it for me and that I see it and it's not okay, but for any other little girl or kid that follows along, or, they need to know it's okay to say like this, my art has nothing to do with gender. And it already sucks that there's only 5 out of 51 people in this project that are women. So am I a raging feminist? Absolutely not. But at some point, it's okay to say, like, you guys treat me like you would treat any of the other artists, or I'm not going to spend so much time engaging. And so it's been like kind of this toss. Like, I kind of go back and forth. You know, my business partner's like, you need to chill on the engagement or you're going to burn out. And I'm like, that's how we built this thing. And he's like, but it's how you're going to ruin the thing if you, you know, are always worried about, you know, making sure everybody's answered to. And the thing is, everybody's got an idea for what card you should do. Everyone's got an idea of how this card should look or what player you should do. Or, you know what if you incorporated this? And it takes the fun out of it a little bit, because you guys don't actually want us to do what you want. Trust me. Because if you do it won't be as fun, because we make art that speaks to us, and we hope that you guys like it. And so sometimes when people are constantly telling you what player and how to do it and which photo you should do and stuff, it's like, they're very well intentioned and they don't bother me, but I think people don't realize they actually don't really want that. And if we started trying to do everything everybody wanted, these would just be like the photo baseball cards you see that you can get anywhere else. So I'm learning, and you know, one of the other artists in the project gave me very good advice the other night. I was feeling very overwhelmed, and he said, delete all the apps off your phone. And I was like, okay. So I did. And then I found myself, when I was out and about, it wasn't just a nervous thing where I was just scrolling through, seeing my name tagged, feeling like I have to respond. And instead, I did it on my own time when I got back to my computer and was ready to do it. So I think it's going to be a constant battle for me in general with my career, is just learning to just be able to create and not start to resent what I do, because I never want to resent what I do. I absolutely love it right now. I love the engagement. I love the people. And I don't want to get to a point where I feel like I'm tugged in 800 directions and I can't keep up. So that's kind of the long or the short of it. I hope people keep tagging me in their mail days. I hope people keep commenting to me. And I just need to learn to be okay with the fact that I might not be able to get every single person a response, and just be okay with that. And trust that they'll understand that too. So.
Yeah. I'm always amazed how much you respond back to people. I mean, if it's not Instagram, it's Twitter. If it's not Twitter, it's Facebook. I mean, you have this 24/7.
I'm also making art and shipping, and I know, I'm like, no wonder I don't get any sleep. God. But yeah, I've also, someone also gave me, another artist said, think of it like almost like autographs. You don't have to be so available. Your time doesn't have to be so easy to get. Like, it's okay to make comments, because then they're more special when you're not always there. Like, nobody's able to always, well, there are people in that group that are always able to comment, but not everyone generally can. So I don't need to either. And so I'm learning that's going to be, you know, it's going to, I think, become a sharper learning curve for me in the next few cards. As more and more people start to complain about, you know, repeat players or repeat teams, and, you know, learning to trust that this is a fun art project and something I would have never dreamed I get to do as a kid. So who cares if someone doesn't like that it's another Yankee or another Dodger or another, you know, Ken Griffey Jr. or whatever. Like, it's what makes me happy. And that's, at the end of the day, that's going to show in my art. So yeah, it's a learning curve. But overall, just so all the people watching are clear, I have no problem with people tagging me. And I do like to engage. I just need to find a happy medium a little bit sometimes. So that I can keep making stuff. Running out of time to make art. I've made a lot of new art. That's the other part. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that thing, that art thing you have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that makes me.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned. Obviously, we've had a few questions coming already.
Sure.
Mostly around future cards and things like that, which you probably can't say too much about.
Let's not go there, because I said, like, everyone's gonna ask those questions anyways.
It's okay. I don't mind answering. I mean, go for it. I mean, if you want to.
Without,
I don't have any problem being honest. If I can't answer it, I won't answer it. But
I mean, without mentioning specific players, how the overarching question, I guess, that a lot of people have is just how much freedom do you have to choose your subjects? Is, I guess, the simplest way to ask the question.
Pretty much any player that they have a license to, we can create. There was, you know, I wanted to do Bo Jackson. I've wanted to do Bo Jackson since day one. they've not been able to get rights of him yet. So that's one card that I really, really want to do, but can't. But that doesn't mean like Mickey Mantle, they might get the license, you know, in a month, and then I need to figure out who I am going to move out of my list. And so as time goes on, it gets harder and harder to know like which players you want to push towards the back just in case. And also trying to move with the demand. Like I'm seeing people want current players more than I thought. And for me, as a licensed MLB artist, I don't get to do a lot of these older players because they have separate rights with the states and they aren't covered under my MLB license. So I thought I want to be creating things that people can't buy in prints in my store. But that isn't necessarily the case. It's a different world. It's a different set of customers. So it's been a learning curve, and it's going to continue to be one. And Topps has been very good about letting us pick our people. We didn't get to schedule our first cards or whatever. So as a Red Sox fan with a dog named Fenway and Shea, I owe a lot of beers for having my first card here and Judge. A lot of disappointed friends. They're like, "What's your first card?" I'm like, Aaron. They're like, Hank. I'm like,
Boone.
Aaron Boone movie just as bad.
I just say Aaron, and they're like, "Oh, Hank Aaron's so good." I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. And then another Yankee right after, but Lou Gehrig transcends his jersey. He could be on a team and forever be.
Graham was very excited. That's one of his favorite all-time players.
Absolutely, yeah. I am a Yankees fan. I was trying to keep that out of the conversation. Thank you. But, yeah.
Now, we both admit it. We made our confession, so it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Listen, my best man at my wedding is a dyed-in-the-wool Red Sox fan, so I have no issue.
I play beer league softball with Brian Dempster's brother, and we used to joke. I said, like, you know, I appreciate you more than anyone else because you plunked A-Rod that one time. And it's just a moment. And I would never encourage, you know, beating someone with a baseball, but I don't know. He was actually the first art piece I made for a professional athlete was his brother. And the back, that's all I wrote was, "Thank you for hitting A-Rod."
And that was for the Canadian Hall of Fame, right?
What's that?
And that was for the Canadian Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so that was my first piece, and it was pretty fun. And that's when I was kind of like, well, this is cool. Maybe I should try this, you know? So it's a lot harder with the next athlete when, you know, didn't know the brother or something. I was like, ooh, this is hard to get a hold of people. But yeah, it was fun. So yeah.
So speaking of that, we know you were a competitive softball player, basketball softball player there. So the big push right now is for women to play baseball over in the UK. And we actually have the first women's league. I think there are 6 teams, you know, for sure. We definitely have one in Scotland here. And one of the questions from one of the ladies was, did you have a chance to play baseball when you were growing up? Or did you actually go do softball?
We could have. You could have played baseball if you wanted. But I actually kind of hit when fast pitch started to take over slow pitch, because for a while slow pitch was what the girls played, and I just as I started to get more and more serious and out of like the co-ed like t-ball and then, you know, minors or whatever, I moved on to, and when fast pitch secretly was slow pitch because we were all young, and if you just got across the plate it was a victory. Oh God bless. I had to watch those things. Woo! You just walk in 6 runs and it'd be the next inning. Oh, brutal. But yeah, so I was drawn to fast pitch because it was exciting, and I got to see like how talented some of these, you know, Lisa Fernandez, you know, that era, Jenny Finch towards the end, but Lisa Fernandez I remember was kind of like the first, and then Kat Osterman. I mean, I got to see. To me, those were just as difficult to hit, if not harder, than some of the, you know, the baseball, and it's a different sport in a lot of ways, but. Yeah, I like that girls have the option, are getting the option more, because some may want to play baseball instead. It is kind of different swing mechanics, a much different release of the ball. It's a different feel. It's a different vibe. There's a lot less small game involved. I find in baseball, and yeah, I love seeing. If nothing else, I always love seeing an underdog story, and girls will forever be an underdog story when they try and play baseball right now, because it is, you know, the one girl trying out for the baseball team with a bunch of dudes, and I will forever be an underdog rooter because I don't think she's actually the underdog, but everyone else does. So I like to see, you know, kind of I like seeing the change we're slowly beginning to see with, the Marlins GM and the first base coach for the Giants. It's a cool thing to see. So, yeah, kudos to, I could have played baseball, but I did stick with fast pitch all the way through college. So.
Cool. Yeah. So so who was the big team to play for in the Northwest back when you were going to college? Because I know you went to Wenatchee and then ended up in Central. So
The Huskies, probably. Yeah.
it's still the Huskies then, yeah.
I think they had the best program. And then it was one of my kind of mutual friends I knew through ball ended up playing for the team when they won. I knew I probably, yeah, I'd say, yeah, definitely the Huskies. Wasn't Wenatchee Valley. We were a good junior college, and I actually am really glad I didn't let that get in the way of my decision, because I did have offers from in Montana for like a university or nothing like the Huskies, but and I was always really opposed to junior college, and there's still kind of this general societal belief that the junior college are for like the less intelligent and the not so good athletes, but it's so silly because it's a cheaper education to do the same 2 years of education you'd be doing at a different school. It's that basic, you got to get in your prereqs. And then, we were a very talented team. And we got to play, central and exhibition games and stuff. And, best decision I made was getting out of my own head about, but it's a junior college. Well, who cares? Like, if it's a good fit and it's competitive, and for me, it was about the coach, and the coach was, and still is a huge part of my life. I mean, I knew she would not let me settle for anything less than my best. And that was more important to me than, a team that maybe looks better on paper, but doesn't make me grow as a person. So, but don't get me wrong. Huskies did not call me. It wasn't like Huskies, no, not today.
Not today, no.
He did call me. I'll make that clear to the viewers.
No, it's one of those things that, again, I myself was going to walk on at Oregon State, and the coach pretty much had said, I own you 16 hours a day, and here's what your schedule's like. Enjoy. And I was like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
So
I know.
I appreciate the time and effort it takes to become a professional athlete, at least at a collegiate level.
Yeah, it was a lot. It's like you study, you train, you go home, you eat, you wake up, you train, you go to school, you train. It's like it's a schedule, and that's that was the hardest thing too. And I had to stop playing. It's like, oh my God, how do I make friends and do life? Like I didn't know. I'm like, what? We don't know. I'm not just given like 12 chicks to get along with, and we have to figure out who we live with, and then that's just who we hang out with forever. Like I have to actually like learn how to make friends a different way. So yeah, adjusting into life without team sport was different for me. I
What
get why.
position did you play?
Third base. I always
So you
loved
were a
third
third baseman, right? Okay.
I played self-defense because that's what it felt like sometimes. I wouldn't even know what was happening. My glove would just be there. But so, yeah, I loved it. It wasn't enough time to think. It was, it was involved in short game play a lot, which love-hate relationship with bunts as a third baseman. Especially when ladies started slap bunting. So I'd be like, I'm going to be 3 inches from your face. And then they pull back the bat to slap it. And you're like, cool, might die. So yeah, I loved it. I played the hot corner and all the way through competitive adult leagues, if you will, as well. And that's where I also decided to eat a line drive with my face. So thankfully the self-defense did not defend. So it failed me.
I was going to say that leads rather nicely into the story of how you took this from I guess a passion project into becoming your full-time existence. I know you've recanted the story many times, especially recently, but for those listening who maybe don't know how you made that transition from doing the whole 9 to 5 thing to becoming a full-time to doing the art full-time, would you mind just covering it again to the
Sure. I'll do it in the quickest way I can. It's kind of long and complicated, so I'll give the cliff notes a bit. But yeah, I was playing, as much as this sounds like an oxymoron, I was playing competitive slow pitch softball. Sounds weird, but yes. And yeah, I kind of found that athlete part of me that was gone for a few years when I transitioned out of college fast pitch and into the real world. and loved it. I ended up being sponsored by Louisville Slow Pitch here in Canada, and that was pretty cool. Truly loved it, and was playing in our elite division, if you will, which is the top tier for BC Canada, and co-ed. So I was playing, still always comfortable at third base. And, as my arm got more, I had a lot of issues with my shoulder. Eventually, it was never my problem in college. Like, I always was like, oh, that sucks for people that have shoulder issues or knee issues, but I just didn't. And then my shoulder started to give. So my problem was I was never comfortable being anything but flush with third base. I didn't like to be back any further. Also, thought I was too cool for a mask. Like, what is this mask thing? Like, why are women and dudes wearing masks at third and first? And like, what is that? We didn't do that in college. Like, I just grew up in a time where those weren't even made. So I just never thought I needed one. And that was stupid. I literally used to make fun of, there's these sisters I played with and love them to death, Tina and Tanya, and they wore masks and they were super bright. They were like neon. I'm like, did you get your mask? It's like, we're running out. Got that inning in the fucking face. So, and then it was like, for pardon my language, but it was like later that, it was like the same week. So we weren't sure if it was too soon, but I was like, I think I made fun of your mask right before. Like, yeah, you did. But anyway, so I was playing third base, and and I feel so bad for the guy that hit it too, because there's no way he meant to. I mean, and I know that was probably it was really hard for him to, after he hit me. So a lot of people always ask, like, was it a guy or girl? Oh, a guy should never be hitting at a chick. It's like, no, I was more than capable of fielding a ball. It was a freak accident, and he didn't mean to. And I just remember seeing the ball kind of tail in a weird way. And I remember just trying to get my glove up. And the last thing I really remember, as gross as this is, it was the sound it made when it hit my face and my head. Yikes. And it hit, kind of caught my eye and the forehead area. It basically hit all the main bones. So, which may have benefited me in the long run, because it didn't shatter anything. It shattered in here, but it didn't shatter any of I didn't need to get a plate in my face. I was knocked out. Fire department showed up, ambulance, all that good stuff. If you want to learn more about the grievances I'm trying to work through, feel free to check out the videos on my Instagram and Facebook. But basically, I went to the hospital after being knocked out, and severely deformed face. I don't know how else to put it. You can look at the video and see the pictures. There's no like, oh, it looks like a little purple eyeshadow. Like, my face was deformed, and I was given an X-ray, told I had no fractures, and to go home with ice. No painkillers, no concussion protocol. No referrals, nothing. And by the time I was, almost home, the amount of pressure that had built up on my eye was starting to be quite alarming. And I delayed concussion symptoms. I didn't even know that was a thing, but I was so out of it. I went to work the next day with sunglasses on, like, I'm here. Like, walked in, everyone was like, oh my God. And I'm just like, it's okay, I'm fine. And I was just so out of my mind, and I had no idea how bad everything was. And so I was sitting at my computer staring at the screen, and finally my boss was like, you need to like go home, like this isn't good. And I went and saw an eye doctor because I couldn't see. So my one eye that was open, I could see a little bit, but it'd start to kaleidoscope. It looked like a kaleidoscope. And then I get sick, I get physically sick, because it's like being on a roller coaster all the time. And they ended up doing I saw an ophthalmologist who ordered the CT scan, and there was several fractures in my face, as well as a brain bleed, so traumatic brain injury, and a hemorrhage retina. So it was actually a very serious injury, and I'm lucky that when I went to sleep, I did in fact wake up. And it's been a long battle of finding my way back. I don't feel like I've had my true mind since it happened. Anxiety and panic attacks have always been a part of my life, but they became a part of my every hour, my every minute. It's like my brain was caught in a loop. I'd forget things a lot. My short-term memory was failing. I would sometimes wake up and not remember how I got home, which is a really alarming feeling. And that's without substances involved. I'm not talking like a good party at college. I literally would just be a normal day, night, go to sleep, and not wake up in the middle of the night, kind of like, like when you wake up from a nap that you shouldn't have taken. It was too long. And you're like, did I miss work? And it's the middle of the day. Like
Saturday.
in the middle of the night. Yeah, we all know what that's like. It's like that. And I just lay there kind of panicked, like, when did I walk myself up to bed? Like, oh my God, when did I get here? And it started to get really scary. And then I would just start crying and then laughing. And it was like the most bizarre thing, because as much as I hate to admit this, it's important for me to say this. I thought concussions were a mindset. I hate that I say that. And I hate that I ever thought that. And I'm sorry to anyone that I thought that about prior to my own experience with it. But I literally thought, after a few weeks, if you're still saying, you feel weird, like maybe you need to just toughen up a little bit. Kind of like, you don't need a mask. It's like karma twice. And yeah, I did all the wrong things. I got on a plane 3 weeks later. Within 4 weeks, I was playing full time again. Once my eye basically had vision back, I wore a mask at that point. My teammates bought it for me. I was like, thank you. I specifically remember diving for a ball, and then I was sick for a week, just so sick. And that's when I realized something's not right. And I've been chasing my health and my mind and my sanity since then, to put it honestly. I started trying to understand what I needed to do. The problem was my injury at that point by the time I finally got the referrals needed, Canada's healthcare system is a little bit different. You have to get referrals. You can't just walk into a place and make an appointment. The emergency doctor should have faxed to my GP, who should have then made a referral. Then you get in line and blah, 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 blah. So by the time I finally got a referral to GF Strong, which is a place here that deals with head injuries, we had just passed the 6-month mark, and they said it's too old to treat after 6 months. Which what we learn about head injuries is that's not the case. And so I just felt like I kept hitting dead ends. So I started driving to the States to be seen, because I was like, these panic attacks, and then depression hit. And I had never experienced depression. I'd always had anxiety and panic. So, there's always a little like sprinkle of depression in there, like, oh, this sucks. But I did not know depression until my head injury. I didn't understand what people meant when they said they couldn't get out of bed because they were sad. Again, one of those things where you just take advantage of. You're like, oh, you just get up, just walk down the stairs, do your things, laundry and take a shower. You can do it. No, you can't. It literally feels like the most monumental task. And that's when I got scared. That's honestly when I was truly scared, because I remember having a conversation with my doctor. And I say all this because it's important. And I want people that have had head injuries or even haven't and struggle with mental health to know that you can get out of it. Because there was a conversation I had with my doctor where he specifically said, are you suicidal? I said, I don't think so, but I don't know that I want to be alive anymore. And I hate admitting that, and it hurts to say it, but that's where it led me. And I didn't feel like I had any control over it. I didn't know what was happening with my own brain. So I've had 8 surgeries in the last 10 months. All the misdiagnoses, unfortunately, one of them was a fracture, a minimally displaced jawbone. So I have a permanent screw up here now. These people will forever be implants. My jawbones had multiple grafts. My gums have had multiple grafts. The rest of my teeth are real, but have all crowns on them, and they have significantly shortened roots. So I'll likely need more screws in my jaw. And it's been a long, long road back. I have brain mapping on Wednesday. So lots of different, trying to figure out which parts of my brains aren't communicating properly. And throughout all this, I found art to try and express myself, and also find that sports part of me that wasn't able to exist anymore. And then I fell into making sports art, and then my life changed for the better a bit. This is kind of the rose that grew out of the cement, to be honest with you. I'm grateful for it. I don't recommend getting smoked in the face to see if you find your dream career, but yeah, there's still a lot that I'm very honest with people that there's still a lot of days that are hard, but overall, I think I at least have the knowledge now to know what needs to continue to happen for me to keep getting more further along in recovery. So I'm glad that more and more people are talking about head injuries. I'm glad more and more people are remembering that athletes entertain us, but at the end of the day, that's not all they are. They have families, and sports end for them. So if we're not protecting our football players, our hockey players, our rugby players, our baseball players, our soccer players, their life as a professional athlete will end one day. And it's kind of effed up if all we care about is how they perform for us on TV, yet we're setting them up by not caring and not pushing back on head injury protocols. We're setting them up for potentially a life that ends too soon. And I don't think that's melodramatic to say anymore. I think there's been enough incidences where we should start believing that and understanding that and really trying to, be aware of the mental effects as well as the physical effects. So yeah, that's been the other part of my mission. It's like artwork. And as my platform grows, I try and speak out more about mental health as well as, dealing with head injuries properly. So,
Yeah.
So touching on that, you also have another project you haven't been able to chat about a whole lot, the Create Without Fear project.
Yeah, that's fun. So because art was kind of my way to talk without talking, I wanted to encourage kids to kind of express themselves, especially during COVID and things like that, or kids that didn't, weren't the coolest or aren't the coolest in terms of, how we decide that as young kids. So I have a bunch of art notebooks that I make, and it has kind of my slogan on the front, which is Create Without Fear. It's a slogan I came with. If someone else has it already, sorry about that. But it's fine, but maybe someone else had it. But it's about, and it has all these different things like play without fear, create without fear, dance without fear. Basically, express yourself and don't worry so much about what the world is going to say in return. And it's a reminder to myself too. And so what I do is, if I see a kid tag me with art or something on social media, I try and send a care package. And I actually just got these in today. I'm kind of excited about them. Usually I send art notebooks and colored pencils and all these different things, but I started trying to do some new things. So we've got little kids gratitude journals. So, it's a tough time. So trying to remember what we are grateful for. So, it gives them a chance to kind of express themselves, like how they feel today. What are they grateful for? What was tough today? Like talking about things in a way that's private in their safe space. Like this doesn't need to be on the playground with the people that aren't nice to you. This is just yours. It's your space. And then also baseball cards. So I'll include a little starter pack of baseball cards if that's what they're into. I just picked up 100 different comic books yesterday for kids that aren't into sports. But try and send a little package with a note that's like, hey, by the way, I wasn't very cool in high school. And look, I'm with some of the, like, I sat in with Willie Mays. I idolized him as a kid. So what you are today, if kids don't like you, it has no relevance to your future. Just keep being you, because as I was kind of a loner and not the coolest, I was building creativity. And that creativity has given me a life that I never thought I would have had. So it's just kind of a reminder to kids to just hang in there and also adults, and to just do what you like and don't worry about what the social media is going to say, because I've learned one thing, and there's literally nothing you can create where there won't be at least one person that's like, ew, ugly.
We'll talk to you off air after this, but we'll probably have a few people say they'll want some packets, and we'll get some stuff shipped over this way, because funny enough, we're actually running we're running an art competition right now, which has ends. So we're trying to get people into card art, because it's a big thing here. And so we and Graham and another friend of ours are sending baseball cards to people and say, come up, let's see what you can do. And we're having a lot of fun with that there. So I'm sure.
Well, this side of the pond, let me know, and I'll chip in as well and send some stuff. And it's kind of something I do kind of quietly, because I don't know if you know how hard it is to get boxes of baseball cards, but it's kind of tricky. So I worry about supply sometimes. But I did just get a ton at Target or Walmart yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty jacked. Got some cards again for kids. But
oh my God.
How many grown men did you have to beat up to get it, though? That's the real question.
Many, but I did feel very ashamed. I was like, I swear to God, they're for kids. It was like had like my arm full of them. I felt so ashamed. But in Canada, like I just kind of slid under the radar a little bit, checked them out.
Yeah.
But I opened them all. I separated my team. Usually ask the kid what their favorite team is, and they don't care if it's a $1 million pool. They probably would, but they don't really. Like, they're not gonna protect the corners of that, and they shouldn't. They should have fun with it. They should play with the cards. They should, like we used to do as kids. Look at the back, read the stats, do fun stuff. It doesn't all have to be serious and put on eBay and meant for money. Like, I just want kids to be kids again, because they don't get to be anymore, and especially with this digital world during COVID, it's like they're on more Zoom meetings than I am. You know, and that sucks. So yeah, I'm just trying to do my part. And I'll say one more thing on that. As mental health is a huge thing for me, I do volunteer at the suicide hotline and as an operator. And one of the most alarming things, and I say this in a lot of my podcasts, because I think people need to know this, is that the rate of suicide for youth is going up and the age is going down. And that's terrifying, and that's a problem. And as adults, we have opportunities to do things to help with that. And maybe sending out 10 care packages doesn't do anything, but maybe it does. Maybe one strikes a kid and they're like, they have a postcard from you that says they've got a friend in the, you know, from Tea and Tops. And that's the coolest thing, because you guys are on live and you've got all these cards and these people. Like, you just never know, right? So that's kind of why I really try and focus in on kids a lot, is because you never know. One of them might just need an adult to let them know that they've got a friend out there and that the other stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's something we've spoken about a little bit about. I don't know if I've covered it on the webcast, but yeah, these things, they should be a distraction, especially when we went down what we commonly refer to in the UK here as lockdown version 1. So like a year ago, we've been in lockdown in the UK here now for just over a year. And yeah, we really found that, and I think that's a lot of what drove this huge uptick in increase in,
Absolutely.
and not just baseball trading cards, but trading cards in general. It's people wanting that sense of familiarity, which is a word I can't say very well. But yeah, just that connecting to something from their youth and perhaps trying to rediscover it. So yeah, it's a really important point.
Really big opportunity for community too there, you know, and I think a lot of people are drawn to that because of the community, and that's why it can be kind of discouraging when someone says something on, you know, the pages and everyone's like, "You idiot," you know, and it's like sometimes I realize we don't always have to comment on things we don't like, and I know that should be common sense, but it's not. And we also should stand up for things that are wrong. But thinking a card's worth the price that you don't agree with is not an injustice in the world. Okay, we don't need to have like a battle about that. However, you know, I think it's given people this sense of community, and I've seen it rally on my behalf. When I had all these surgeries, a bunch of the card art guys on Twitter started selling their card art to benefit me, and it was the most beautiful thing. Like, I saw a community that, you know, I didn't know outside of, I wasn't even in the Tops project yet. I was kind of a nobody. Twitter was new to me. I didn't have like a lot going on there, and you know, all these people rallied around, and that's really neat. And I think we need things like that instead of, you know, the division. It's nice to see people come together over something like cards, because like you said, it does kind of bring out the kids. And that's what I love about FDOT's art. And artists like that. It's like his Ozzie Smith. That's fun. That's someone not worrying about realism. That's someone worrying about having fun while they make art. And I think that really comes through in his cards, and I love that about him. And I think that's why Party's cards are doing so well. You know, it's like speaks to the comic book world, the kind of fun fantasy. It's a story kids like when he talks about, you know, Mike Trout's story that went along with it. And I think that's great. We all need to tap into that a little bit more, especially in these times, for the love of God. It's just.
Yeah, these super fun times, right?
Almost was normal. Remember when it first started, we're like, it'll just be a couple weeks.
Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks a year ago.
Yeah, I got home days before they ended spring training. They shuttered spring training, and I just got home. I was like, that's not long. A couple of weeks. Someone's like, it's gonna go till Christmas. I'm like, you're so negative. No, it's not.
Yeah. And here
now
we
they're
are.
like, next Christmas. I'm like, shut your mouth, dude. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any of it. So yeah, it's a weird world right now. But
I know it's really depressing to be in my Instagram reminders from a year ago. And it's, you know, me holding like 2 things of toilet paper going, I swear I'm not hoarding. This is the only thing. And one's for a neighbor. You know, it's just like, that was a year ago.
Or how we were all like, airport rules, snack and have beer whenever. And all of a sudden it was like, do we have a problem? After like 5 months, you're like, I've had Doritos and a beer for my meal. Like everybody's like, all I did was eat today because I was bored. I'm like, me too. Like, I mean, it's just, yeah. but I think we're starting to adjust to it a little bit, but yeah, it's not good. And I feel like it's extra hard for the kids. So I'm glad you guys are doing stuff to try and do your part with that too. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jason and I both got two kids, both got two girls actually. So yeah, we've been both been through the joys of homeschooling over the last little while. Yeah, you may well pull
You
that
guys are the real
face.
heroes. Yeah, all the parents out there, you guys are the real heroes. My
Yeah.
So,
God.
so not only that is we both were stay-at-home parents. Graham's only gone back to work for the last year, so I'm a stay-at-home dad. So I'm watching the kids full time.
Ooh, yeah, all my friends with kids, whenever I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, we're idiots. We fully appreciate that. We're idiots. Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I can't complain about a single thing about COVID. When I see them, we're like just trying to get my 8-year-old to be on the internet classroom for the next 3 hours without making any weird comments. I'm like, oh, I can't even do that. Like,
Yeah, I can't go a 20-minute
I'll
meeting
say
without
at
being a
least
fool.
something in this podcast we haven't yet that we're like, can we cut that out? No? Okay.
Oh no, there's no editing here.
Well, consider yourself one.
Yeah. So to circle back to the art, one of the questions I wanted to ask. So one of the unique features I think of your art is that you do it all on birchwood, and I wondered how you got to that medium.
Yeah. Well, canvas bothered me. Canvas drove me nuts. Well, okay, back up. I used to just do pencil work. So straight pencil work. It took forever. And it's a very niche market. It's not like you can commercialize pencil art very well. Or if you do, you have to be really good and have the right, it just wasn't going to be something that I could do often without, I use pencil drawings almost like meditation. So I use it when it's just me, music, and it's not about selling it. It's not about, it's so, I kind of get in a trance with it almost. And I found that when I started when people would ask if I do a commission piece, I started like, yeah, okay. But then I didn't love doing it. Like it kind of made me stop liking drawing. So I knew that wasn't going to work. And this was still long before I ever thought art would be a career. I didn't think art would be a career till it just was. So yeah, then I was like, I want to play on some new mediums. Like, looks kind of cool to paint. Maybe if I use the projector like a lot of people do, I can figure it out. Like I've got basic art skills with the drawing, like I can figure this out. But I didn't like the canvas. I was so used to being able to do such finite details that on the canvas, the little lumps. I know no artistic language. I only the little lumps.
The little
The only
lumps, yeah.
the
Well,
little bumpy things with the little
yeah.
bristle things and the wet colors.
That wet stuff, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Well, I'm
the only
colorblind. I'm colorblind,
college.
so you're preaching to the choir here.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I always fit in so nicely when people are like, let's talk art. I'm like, please don't. Please.
Well, you're in the right place.
I don't know anything about it. It's not a lie. I don't. And so, yeah, I'm sure you prep canvases with all that gesso or whatever they call it. I only know that now because I've seen it on enough signs in the art store. But yeah, like I didn't like it. And so I saw a piece of wood in the by the dumpster of the building I used to work in. I was like, oh, I'm gonna try doing something on wood for fun for a friend. And she still has it, and I asked her to please stop hanging it in her house because it's really bad for me. It's terrible. There's like a hole in her side. Like I'm like, take that down. God. But it's like it's the original wood piece I've ever done, So, but yeah, they were really, 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 really bad for a long time, really bad. But I just loved the wood grain. How my dad's always been a craftsman with wood. He builds. I've shown on my Instagram before. One of my favorite people ask me all the time, "What's my favorite art that I own?" It's actually a guitar my dad built me, and he's
incredible.
very, very impressive with. Always has been with woodwork. I remember he like took apart an old big screen TV and made the most gorgeous like cherry wood coffee table for me for college. And I'd like getting bites when people would put their beer on. I'm like, do not. Posters. The rest of the apartment's a mess, and someone coming in like set down their nasty paps on my dad's, and I'd be like, don't. It only took him 24 hours to make this, but it's the most special thing I own. But yeah, it's he's just always been incredible with wood. And so I think I got kind of some of that from him a little bit, and just always was around. Like he would show me like different types of wood, like expensive cherry wood and walnut. And like I just thought the grains in it in itself were art. And also it ties to the sport. So wood bats, the old wood bleachers, all this stuff, like Fenway Park, so much wood, and Wrigley Park or Wrigley Field. And I was just like, this would be kind of a cool medium to work on. And so, yeah, that's what started it. And then I started using like ink and found that it bled up the grain. And so that wasn't going to work for detail. So that's when I kind of came up with the kind of blending the drawing, the digital world, and the paint on wood. So I make a digital stencil. It allows me to really get those really fine details. That tissue paper then goes on the wood. You couldn't tell, like it's flush with the wood. Actually, do you want me to grab one real quick so you can see?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
That'd be
absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Good thing I put pants on.
There's no guarantee we have our pants on either. Of course, we're having.
Laced up. So here's the first card. Let me try and get the lighting on this right. So you can see you can't tell that there's any tissue paper. And what it actually ends up doing is I kind of see if I can turn the light down on this baby a little bit. Nope.
That's okay. It looks really good.
Yeah, you can see
So-
it, you're fine.
Yeah.
You can see like the parts that are supposed to be white in the jersey are actually just natural wood. So I'm able to pull kind of the.
Yeah, it's coming through fine.
There we go. So I'm able to kind of pull out the paper. So it actually just shows the natural wood through in spots that would be, brighter in the jersey. And then get the really fine detail. And then on the edges, it doesn't bleed up the wood at all because it stops right where that seal was from the tissue paper.
Nice.
And yeah, and then it's pretty bulletproof. And yeah, I don't really know how I came about doing it this way. Like I said, I've made like hundreds and hundreds of these, and there was many that sucked terribly, very badly. So yeah, and then I tried. It basically became, I wanted to tell a story within the art. So I want to use one main picture. Yet as you look at it more and more, you see more things. Like you see the Yankees facade and the helmet. Then you see, you got the Statue of Liberty. Then you've got the old Yankee seats. Him swinging. Judge is different. There's not a lot of history, so it's not. But with Lou Gehrig, obviously, when he's pinching the bridge with his nose, everyone knows that moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how it looks. That's how it came about. But yeah, what I really like about the wood is being able to use what would be white space and leaving it as a grain. You can actually see little wood grains within the jersey when you look carefully, but it's just because, like you can kind of see right there, that streak of wood grain goes through into the white spots. So yeah.
So how do you get that to Tops? You didn't take a photo of that and send it to them and crop it, or?
Yeah. Yep. So then I take a photo of natural light of it. Sometimes I have to do a little, depending on since it's sometimes not nice weather here, do a little bit of color correcting because the birch can look a little yellow if it's not really bright out. So sometimes I have to desaturate the background a little bit, but leave the wood grain, of course, just kind of desaturate some of the yellow. And then here you go. See, this is fun. And then it becomes this.
Yes.
So then I put the border on. I chose to make the cards and put the border on afterwards, the year and all that and stuff, and leave the art as the art. And that may change, if I'm asked to do this again. I think Blake Jamieson did his first like that and now is doing the cards in their full entirety on his canvas. So yeah, that's I love working with the wood though. It's awesome. I like going and choosing it. I've actually used the grain to kind of form shoulders before. Like I've got a Eduardo Nunez piece that I made for him where the wood grain curves and actually the jersey's white. So what makes his shoulder is the wood grain. And that was a lot of fun. So yeah. Yeah.
And those are all on your website. So if people want to look at them, they can see them there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Nunez one was just a gift for him, but I'll try and remember to put that up on my Instagram or Twitter. The thing is, I didn't always do images within the images. It wasn't until I got like brutally rejected by all 3 card companies, including Tops, 3 years ago. We're like, nothing shouts Lauren Taylor specialty. Or the sentence that gets me still this day is a layman hobbyist can do what you do.
Jeez, everyone's a critic, right?
Everyone's a critic.
I like my heart. I still hear it go like, ugh. Like I just, yeah. I remember hearing that and being like, okay, okay. I do have to run though, so we'll chat.
Ooh, look at the time. I would catch that bus.
I won't in the shower for the next 8 days. Like it was, yeah, it was. But it did, as much as I hated that comment, and I'm not sure I'd like love to meet the person that said that or anything, but I'm glad I didn't get it when I wanted to, because it made me change my art entirely. So I started playing around with Felix Hernandez, which I see you've got the little K in the background there.
Yeah, my K card.
So I started taking my own photos. So I'd take a photo to work with, and he had these really reflective sunglasses on, and they're kind of, he's pretty hip. He's got the cool hair, the little different designs in his hair, and it was an off day for him, and he was walking towards me. And I took the photo, and then I thought, oh, well, the reflection is of the field, but I could probably add some things to that and make it more exciting. And that's kind of how it all started, is I started adding reflection into sunglasses. Then I started trying to tell a story within a helmet. And then people are like, you realize that if Anthony Rizzo's in the stadium, he can't have the reflection of the outside, and it would be moving.
So that's really funny you mentioned that, because I did the Negro League Baseball Fundraiser art thing that you know about.
Yep.
And Tim Gogg would say that he would design stuff. He works for World War I era baseball players. He's like,
Yep.
It's so bad because you design it, and then somebody go, yeah, that sign that wasn't existing. That company was around until the 1940s, and yeah, he said you just get so frustrated because there was always that one critic who would go, it's not authentic.
For fun now, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, you're right. That's on the outside. Why would he be wearing his helmet outside? Like I now just kind of I let them think that they just made me like have an epiphany that I've been doing this wrong the whole time. But yeah, and now I've moved into the jersey, and it's not necessarily about reflections, although I do really love to toy with helmet reflections and sunglass reflections. I just posted a Kevin Biggio piece yesterday. I decided to
amazing.
Yeah, thank you. That's actually one directly for him, but didn't do too much with the sunglasses, but there's a lot of opportunity there. Then the key just becomes not making things too busy. So don't make a reflection in the sunglasses and the jersey, or it's too much. So yeah, every time I sit down to do a new piece, I get excited. I have all these thoughts, and some of them look like crap once I've planned them out, and other ones just work. And it's always like so exciting for me to reveal it when it all comes together and it's how I wanted it. It's like, yes, because sometimes I have ideas and then I put them down and I'm like, that looks terrible, and I have to start completely over. So
it's all part of the process, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. We actually had a question about your Cavan piece. Is that going to be available as a print, or is that just a one-off?
A lot of people like it, so I think I'm going to go ahead and send it in for submission. So yeah, I can't imagine why it wouldn't be approved. As a licensed MLB artist, I kind of know what would and wouldn't get passed, and I can't imagine that one not. So yeah, that should be a print. It does take a little bit, so keep an eye out. But if you're not on my mailing list, you can go on my website and scroll down and put your email in, and then you'll get notified right away. I'll also announce on my social media whenever a new print is available. But yes, that the plan is now to license that. There's been a lot of positive feedback on that one. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's, a lot of people on this. We spoke a little bit before about community, and obviously the baseball card community here in the UK, as you might imagine, is reasonably niche, and we're a fairly small but very passionate band of collectors and enthusiasts, and a lot of people really excited that we were able to get you on. So we've had lots of questions and. Lots of comments about you sharing your story as well, and other people choosing to share that they've struggled previously with mental health issues, and obviously I'll pass on their thanks for sharing that that. A lot of people relating to your story.
On the video when it's up later.
Yeah, you'll be able to see the comments.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'll try and respond to those ones when I see them. But I always am grateful for people that find the courage to speak up and say that they've struggled too, or what their struggle is. So. Until I get to those comments, thank you for having the courage to say those things.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. And I know a few people who I don't think have been able to make the live stream, but I'm sure we'll be catching up. We're all have privately made that comment to me as well. So once again, I know they'll appreciate it as well. Whether or not they'll comment on the video or not, I'm not too sure, but I know they certainly appreciate it.
That's always it will forever be the most important thing to me alongside art, and that's kind of the exciting part of growing a platform and the more people you get, the more opportunity you have to maybe reach the right person. And it's not about reaching everyone. Not everybody's going to understand or identify with mental health, but they are a population that needs to hear that they are not alone the most. So yeah, I know that's, there's that saying, it's so cliche and kind of corny, but be the adult you wish you had as a kid. And that's been kind of my motto. Like, I wish someone had told me and pulled me aside, like that nothing wrong with me, that there's just an imbalance and it'll get better and you'll learn how to harness it and you'll never be without it. At the end of the day, you're always going to have it. But the difference is you have a tool belt and you learn different tools and you learn how to apply them, and it becomes easier and easier. You no longer feel like you can't leave your apartment. Now, when you leave your apartment, you just know there's a few things I do if I start to feel anxious, or, I don't have to bail on this dinner. I can just be honest with my friend if I feel anxious and get some fresh air. So, you start to learn things. And I wish someone had told me a long time ago that I didn't need to feel so ashamed about it, and that I'm not a problem. Like, I'm not a glitch in the human race. I just have a differently wired brain. And there's actually a lot of beautiful things to people that struggle with mental health. They're generally more compassionate because they know what it's like to not feel good or included. And so they care a lot about making sure other people do. And so my message to people that have struggled with mental health is you probably don't realize how special you are, because that's mental health. You're always mean to yourself a lot of the time, but some of the most special people, most creative people out there struggle. You just don't always hear it. So.
Yeah. That's really powerful. Thank you again for, like I say, for sharing that. Just to change up a little bit, I have a basketball related question.
Okay.
Do you like the NBA? And I guess further to that, do you miss the Sonics as much as Jason does?
Yeah, so this is what I was gonna say is the Sonics. Yeah, I worked at Key Arena right after they left, and I was just devastated. I want Gary Payton and Kemp and all them back. I miss the Sonics a lot. But yes, I do like the NBA. I was this close to getting licensed, and then I didn't. So it is a goal to expand my sports licenses, and also maybe even get into sport cards, trading cards, and other realms. Right now, it's just I didn't get the licensing, and but I do love basketball. I did some really, really bad timing, just the way it played out. But I did a bunch of pieces for the Lakers and the Clippers, and they were playing each other. And unfortunately, the day before I left, Kobe's helicopter crashed. And so I was on my way to do the delivery to Danny Green, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, as well as on the Clippers side.
So I stopped watching basketball 10 years ago. And when the Sonics moved, I literally stopped watching basketball till about a year ago. So Kawhi Leonard, Kawhi.
Hopefully that guy doesn't watch this, because I feel really bad.
There's almost there's a running joke through our webcast. So Jason and I are both on the wrong side of 40, admittedly only just. Every week we seem to have a moment where we forget something, and it turns into another episode of old guys trying to remember stuff. So I'm glad you've taken that mantle from us tonight.
I have the best excuse ever whenever people start. I'm like, I have a traumatic brain.
No, I just sound like an asshole. Thanks.
No, isn't that great? Like, it's perfect. I do a lot of public speaking, and sometimes I'm like, if I say anything bad, just remember, I have a brain injury.
I love it.
It's not my fault. And I know that that's not really funny if you truly, but I do have one. But no, that's not why I can't remember his name. I do just sometimes forget things. But yeah, I just am always like, I got hit in the head super hard. It's not my fault. We're just gonna stop. We're gonna just forget the Clippers, because I can't remember that name right now. But anyway, it was really unfortunate, the timing. It was also really beautiful in a sense to see how much that city loves and how much the world loves Kobe. But the whole city was like literally grieving. There was shrines everywhere, and I felt really honored that I was even let into the facility, because they had to lock everything down, because unfortunately the news crews were all about like wanted to get that shot of the basketball player crying or LeBron crying, and it was just kind of like, ew. Like, just let it be for a little bit. Like, give him a minute. And I didn't actually get a chance to meet LeBron. And that was a bummer. But at the same time, totally respect it. And that's a situation where if you can't respect that, you need to have a word with yourself. Like,
Yeah.
would you want to meet a bunch of people right after your friend died just because you're LeBron? No. So I did get a chance, though, because it happened right before I left. I basically stayed up all night to make a tribute piece for him of him and Kobe. So it's a photo of them hugging, and in the back of LeBron's jersey is kind of Kobe and him laughing. And then on the back side of the panel is the tweet that Kobe had sent out right before he passed away to LeBron, basically, after, I can't remember exactly what the tweet was, but it was like, about continuing the legacy of it. And it was a powerful piece, I think. And while I never got to hand it to him personally, I hope it meant something to him. And yeah, it was my first basketball delivery, and I really enjoyed it, if that's the right word, but would like to, hopefully do more basketball art in the future for players. They're a lot harder to get a hold of. I don't know if you noticed, but basketball players have massive followings on Twitter. Whew. It's a little harder to penetrate that whole world, especially when you're an MLB licensed artist. I have that check. I got the verified check last week though, so maybe it'll get easier.
Ooh, nice. There you go. Congratulations.
That counts for something, right? Do you still go straight to spam with that? I think you do, but maybe it'll be the glitter on top of the trash, and they'll be like, oh, maybe.
Well, speaking of heroes, obviously Kobe and LeBron are big heroes. So how about your hero? Have you been able to get your artwork to your hero yet?
Ken Griffey Jr.
No, I think your personal hero. I think I read some of Ellen DeGeneres is your personal hero.
No, okay, so
I did my research.
how to word this. I had a really big problem with the way that article was titled.
Oh no.
She's not my personal hero.
Okay.
Pink is my hero.
Pink is okay.
Pink. No, so I do a gratitude project often. It's a big thing. I make an art piece for a public figure or a community member or a friend that's done something that I think is positive and impacts our world in a good way. A lot of times it is someone that not everybody knows, like a close friend that I know, who has either helped me personally, or maybe someone in our community, Vancouver locally, that's done a lot for the community. Sometimes it's just everyone wants a celebrity, where I've seen them use their platform and their philanthropic efforts for, good. And I want to show gratitude for that. And, I think during the time when there was so much negativity with politics and all that stuff, is Ellen and all the people she had on her show was kind of a bright spot. And she also did a lot of work with animals, specifically gorillas and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to do a gratitude project for her. Let's see what happens. Maybe she'll get it and I'll get to hand it to her. Maybe it'll end up on her show or whatever. And the gentleman that wrote the article suddenly made it about that piece and that she was my hero. I'm not saying she's not great, but she didn't shape my life. And I kind of pushed back on the title a few times, no, this is gratitude project number 37. I make them for people that I find special, but heroes to me are, that's a big word. Yeah, I'd say that's incorrect.
Okay, fair enough.
But it doesn't mean I don't it doesn't mean I don't respect what she's done. It just means that, no, she's not my personal hero, but solid research.
It just goes to show that artistic license is available pretty much anywhere, right?
I know, I was like, oh, damn, what's the title? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I remember reading it being like, that's a stretch. That might be a bit of a stretch, but I do think she's great. She's done some great things. Then all the stuff came out that maybe there's some not so great things. So yeah, let's not.
We won't go there. We'll ask you a question I know you'll have an answer for, and I won't put my foot in my mouth here.
You didn't put your foot in your mouth. You were not the one. Someone just put it in their mouth and refused to take it out, and I was like, great. We're just not gonna fix this. Okay, whatever. But I love that you found that article. Good on you. Well done. Did your research.
I've been fanboying all day. I literally was up to 4 o'clock last night.
What do you mean all day? For the last month.
Okay.
This tell you, Lauren Taylor is my hero.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I'm fully throwing Jason under the bus, and I do
Yes,
not
like I
feel
said,
bad about it.
I was so excited when you said you come on. I was the same way with Anika Orok, which I love her illustration work. She does such cool stuff there, and I love her book on the All American Girls Professional League.
That was my report in middle school. I will forever like AAGPPL. It's like burned in my brain.
Yes.
Everything. So yeah, I loved all that. But
well, I gotta use it for bedtime stories for my girls. So I was like, all right, here's these girls that play baseball there because they know I play baseball or used to play baseball. So they love it. And I'm trying to inspire them to play. It's not quite there yet, but we're getting there. So your first piece was James Paxton, the Big Maple. Yeah. Right.
Yep.
But you had prints of those made up as well because you were doing limited edition 100. Do you still have a print?
No. So this was before I knew anything about licensing. So technically those were not allowed. So I learned a lot about licensing real quick. So I probably, now that he's back on the Mariners.
I just bought the shirt. I got the shirt from the Maple Grove. So I'm sorted.
Yeah, so there's a chance I'm going to be submitting that for licensing and then I will have it. So not to worry. But yeah, no, that was so Dempster. And then the very next person that I didn't actually have a connection to or a brother to help me get art to was James Paxton, Big Maple. Very nice guy. And it was kind of a rush getting to deliver that to them, and they were playing the Red Sox. So I was like, oh, what side of the field do I go to? It was a lot of fun. And it was my first BP I'd ever been to at a baseball game. And now it's it's the same. I haven't done it in a year, but it's it never gets old, being a part of that kind of intimate time for them where they're, working on their swing, and it's like no touch, don't touch, but you're still there, if that makes sense. It's like you feel like you're as close to the exhibit as you can get, and it's like, please do not touch the people, and you're like, okay. But no, but and then that's usually where I do my art deliveries. So then I meet up with them on the field, and it's always a really special moment and a lot of fun. And he's a very, very nice guy, and I'm thrilled he's out of Yankeetown and back along. So.
He sucked.
You guys weren't nice enough to him.
Exactly.
Well, it's New York, goodness.
I know. It'd be like, it's like blame. I wouldn't want to play for the Red Sox either. Red Sox are God. You only hit 3 home runs when you had 2 at bats, and they're like, not good enough. Yeah. Like, no, I did. I hit 2 home runs and 1 at bat. I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah. So, those can be volatile fan groups, but they're also diehard. So,
you got to admire.
It's funny whenever the Yankees miss the playoffs or the World Series, which has been a few times. I'm not trying to certify to you.
No, it's okay. That's fine.
I'm not fighting with you. But it's funny. Yankees fans literally boycott products. Like, it's so funny. They're all about Yankees products they sell, and then all of a sudden they get knocked out of the playoffs, and I don't sell Yankees shit for 3 months. It's like they go into they're in timeout for a while. They're like, no, and then eventually they come back. Like when it's spring training, they start seeing Giancarlo hitting bombs and Aaron Judge, and they're like, oh, good, as long as they stay healthy, we're winning this thing. And then one of them pulls their calf, and they withdraw a little bit again, and then they come back. It's like and then there's teams that just sell. They're like, our team's just, we'll just keep buying stuff. It's fine. But yeah, it's funny. The Yankees are the team where I'm always like, oh, shoot, not going to sell any prints for a few months. Oh.
Listen,
even the Hall of Famer, even Reggie Jackson, be like, no, Yankees, we are mad at our Yankees right now. So.
Yeah. Listen,
all my Boston prints are irrelevant because all the players are no longer on the team. So, I mean, it goes both ways. So.
Yeah, we're going to take advantage of that 3 weeks where Stanton and Judge are both healthy. So, you got to cut us some slack here.
You know what I wanted? So when I first started this, I was very allegiant to. I love the Red Sox, the end period, and the Mariners, the end period. Anybody else? I don't want to talk about. But then the more I do this, the more I meet the athletes, and the more I now become fans of certain athletes and want to see certain people succeed, and I can kind of have a more overall respect for things. But in the beginning, was doing a delivery to a couple Yankees players while I was at Fenway. And it was the only time, if you notice in a lot of my pictures, I'm wearing one of the team shirts because I try and be respectful when I'm delivering to a team. I try and, at Atlanta Braves, I go, I'm a Brave on you. I have a lot. You would be so confused if you walked into my closet right now. You'd be like, who do you like? Like it's every team, every sport. Like I can, if it shows on today, I could just pretend I've been a fan for life by just changing my outfit. I have everything, but the one shirt I've never bought is a Yankee shirt, and so maybe it exists in me still a little bit. But so there's actually a really funny photo. Giancarlo is one of the nicest humans I've met, and I wanted to not like.
Oh my God. I can
He-
think of a lot of our audience who are going to be sad to hear you say that, but this is music to my ears.
He's like 7 million feet tall. But the best part about the photo is I've got a Boston toque on, I've got my Boston jersey, and I look homeless. I've got a brown bag that's ripped, and I'm just cradling it because it's ripped everywhere. And then I'm like with all my Boston gear, and he's just kind of like laughing while he's signing a print for me. And he was just so much fun. I'm in all Boston gear. And he still was like told the security guards to let me through because the security for Yankees is something special. Like we, even with a BP pass, they're like, ma'am, stay 300 feet away. I'm like, no, but they I have the art. Do they know you have it? I'm like, no, I came all the way to New York and Boston with this. And I got a BP pass requested by the player and they have no idea. Of course they know, but like they wouldn't let me. And then that's when Giancarlo was like, let her through. And I kind of laughed at the security guard, like, because they were set. They were, and then, yeah, and I kept trying to make them laugh. I'm like, I'm going to make you guys laugh by the end of the day. Never did. Very awkward. Very awkward. Usually I can make some, they were nothing. They were just like, all serious, like this is very serious. And but Giancarlo was just laughing at me because I had my Boston hat on, and he just kind of kept shaking his head, and he was very complimentary of the art. So I went back home to my Red Sox fans, and I was like, I really liked him. I really liked him. He was a really, really cool guy. I'm so sorry. And now when he's up to bat, I'm like, I want him to do well, but not too well. I want him to do well, but not just slightly less well than the Red Sox are hitting that day.
Yeah, that's acceptable. I think
That's fair, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So out of all this is maybe a tough question to answer. I won't put you on the spot too much, but rather than ask your favorite athlete moment, what about the most memorable? Which one do you cherish the most from all the ones you've done?
Really amazing. That's something that I think is a once in a lifetime experience, and especially as you know, my age versus his age, I got really lucky. I don't know how. My first baseball card was like this cereal box Willie Mays card, and I remember telling my parents like it's cool that they could retire because I had this Willie Mays card. Like I was convinced I had between my two Griffey cards, my Hank Aaron cereal card, and my Willie Mays cereal card that they could retire and we'd all be fine. And they're all bent and like creased because I put it in my pocket all the time. And when I was at, so it's really funny how the story starts. I'm at spring training at the facility for the Giants, and I'm actually delivering art to Bumgarner, Crawford, and Evan Longoria. And I see Willie Mays walk through, and I was just like talk about like fam. I was just like, Derek, like I know he's not Willie Mays. And the clubhouse manager, who was a friend, was like, "That's Willie Mays." I'm like, "Can I like go say hi?" And he's like, "No, God, no." I'm like, "Please, no." He's like, "No, you may not." And I was like, Like, come on, I parked in the same lot as the players. You let me do that? Like, I thought for sure, like, the valet guy knew me and he was going to pull up my rental car. Like, let me say hi to Willie Mays. And he was like, no, he actually really doesn't like photos or anything. And I was like, really? And I didn't realize he's lost most of his vision. And I could understand. Can you imagine if you didn't have a lot of your vision and people kept trying to take photos with you? Like,
yeah,
you could easily taken advantage of. You could have a shirt that's like political or something, and jump in with it. And I hadn't really thought of that before. And once he kind of explained that to me, I'm like, I could understand. And so I had previously made a piece for the original clubhouse manager for the Giants that was no longer my friend. My friend Abe had taken over for, and he had been there forever. And him and Willie Mays used to drive the golf cart around and like hang out. So Abe had hired me about a year prior to make a retirement gift for this guy of him in the golf cart with Willie Mays. Willie Mays had found out about this. This is all, I didn't know any of this at this point. I'm still just begging to just go like tap him on the shoulder and see his face. And he, you know, someone brings up, they're like, oh, that's the girl that made the golf cart art of you. And I can't remember the gentleman's name. And he said, I want to talk to her. And immediately like my organs fell out of my body. I was like, oh. Or like I forgot the English language. Like I just was like, okay, let's do it. Like I'm generally keep my cool pretty well around athletes. I'm not like I don't freak out, but I freaked out. And so he started talking about finger painting, and I was like, oh no, what? And he's like, I want you to do finger painting for my charity. And I was just like, oh shit, like I don't finger paint. And I was just trying to follow along, and I was like, that was a disaster. And then he left, and I was like, cool, wow, what a moment. Shit. Like what just happened? And I'm told Abe, I'm like, Abe, I don't finger paint. He wants me to do live finger. I don't know how to finger paint. And so, you know, he's like, well, it's okay. It's a good try. I got a photo of your back and him. And I'm like, okay. Like, I was just going to be okay with that and say that I saw Willie Mays. So immediately call my dad. I'm like, Dad, I just saw Willie Mays and got to say hi. And he asked me about finger painting. It was confusing and that was it, but it was cool. And then I get a call from Abe. He says, come back. Willie wants to meet you tomorrow and have a meeting with you, like sit down with you. So I then again, blackout. And so we start chatting, and we're in, if you look at the photo, we're in the little equipment room. So it's just Willie and I in the equipment room. You'll see all these Tupperware containers of like, you know, spandex sizes and shirt sizes. And it's just him and I chair to chair. And I've been told he has lost most of his vision, if not all. And that I was warned, which don't ever warn someone this when they're nervous. They're like, he can be easily, you know, sometimes he can get aggravated and then the conversation will just be over. I was like,
Okay.
like, what are some bad, what are the no topics? Like,
I need some triggers.
and they're like, no, just sometimes he doesn't feel the conversation, then it's just done. I'm like, okay, so literally no idea what could do it. So it started off terribly. And I'm talking to him and I'm just thinking like, don't meet your heroes, don't meet your heroes, don't meet your heroes. Like I was panicking. I'm like, this is going so badly. And so then I turn and I look at Abe to kind of be like, what do I say? And he goes, don't look at him. Oh my God, what is happening? Like, I thought you couldn't see and now this. And so I just kind of had like a very human moment where I was like, I'm so nervous. Like you are my hero. My first card was you. I never thought I'd get to sit in a room with you. And I don't know how to use words right now. And I'm just nervous. And just immediately turned into the nicest, softest gentleman. He was just like, well, just talk to me. And so I was like, okay. And we just started chatting, and there's a photo of us with our hands are together. And so we're talking about his kind of over the shoulder catch. And he's like, you know, what people don't realize is actually that I had to turn around and throw that ball in, or who cares if I made the catch, you know? And he talks about it, and he was telling me about how he was always thinking one step ahead, and he would control the field. And it's really fascinating to listen to him talk about it, because he doesn't think about that catch the way we think about that catch. And then as he's talking, doing these hand gestures, I'm like, oh my God, those hands are massive. Like they were like, so I was on live radio and called them meat mitts. So that's again, live radio is not kind. I called them meat mitts on live sports radio here in Vancouver. But that's what they reminded. They were just massive. And I don't have tiny hands. So I like I'm like, Willie, can I see your hand real quick? And he folds it up, and I put mine up against. I'm like, good Lord, like that is the biggest hand I've ever seen. I was like, did you like have to like overlap all your fingers on the bat? Like, goodness. And then he's like, it's because you a lady. And he kept saying that. I'm like, no, it's not. Your hand. So they called him his handler. I don't like saying that, but Pee Wee was his assistant. And I love that his name was Pee Wee. I'm like, Pee Wee, does he have, I was like, does he have big hands? He's like, yes, ma'am. And so there's footage of us kind of having, and he starts laughing. And then he's telling me a story about how he was in the hospital for a checkup for whatever. I still don't know why. It doesn't really matter. And he said, someone taps him on the shoulder. And he said, I turn around and like, ugh. And I was like, good to know. So you turn around to punch when someone taps you, but I didn't do that. But he was like, and this lovely lady says, I need to talk to you. And I want that hat you're wearing, because I don't think I'll be able to sleep tonight because my wife, you just have to listen to the video. He's funny. He's talking about how like some guy he got a Willie Mays hat and his wife wanted it. So now he had to give it to her. And now all he wants is another hat. And so he's like, so I had to give him my hat. And he just talks like he's just so loving, even though I was terrified of him. So then I said, Willie, I'm not going to be able to sleep if you don't give me that jacket you're wearing. And he just goes, for the jacket. And so I never did get the jacket because I left, but he tells Pee-wee and he's like, I'm like, it's on camera, it's mine. And Willie's like, just remind me when I leave to give her the jacket. So, like he turned into be one of like the most awesome conversations. It's about 30 minutes with him. And my favorite photo I have of him is I'm just laughing and my hand's up against his and his hand's like this. And I'm laughing and he's kind of looking and it was a really special. He doesn't usually allow people to film or take photos, but I asked if I could and he was totally fine with it. And he had them bring me some tea. Like he was just such a nice man, but there was 5 minutes or so where I'm like, oh, this is ending. Like, why did I don't meet your heroes? Like, this is terrifying. And then all I had to do was just be honest with him that I was nervous. First time I've been nervous around an athlete and I didn't know what to do. And he was just, so that's gotta be, Ricky Henderson was fun too for different reasons. He's just a hoot, but Willie Mays was, I don't think I'll ever forget that. That's a once in a lifetimer, I think.
Yeah, that's
Willie Mays. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr. may be able to change my mind. He was my hero growing up as well, but Willie Mays, I mean, I watched him on black and white film, and I got to sit in a room with him. I mean, it's pretty cool. So yeah, that was a special one for me. Started off a little rocky, but
but got there, right?
Painting, a night to think about how terribly I interacted, and then started the next one off wrong. Thought he couldn't see me turn around to look at A for a Q. Got busted on that. Like it was so bad. I was just like, I just want to evaporate. Like this is terrible. But no, it was such an awesome guy. Yeah, he was like, I got to get to the casino. I was like, all right, Willie, good job.
Oh, that's a great excuse to have to go as well.
They're like, yeah, he likes to go to the casino. I'm like, God, he's such an awesome dude.
Wasn't he banned from baseball in the 79, 80s because he was a casino host and there was ties with gambling with that?
God, no.
Yeah. See, I think he wasn't allowed to be on MLB because he was, I was, as it did back in the 70s, 80s.
So maybe it's not as funny that he went to the casino. So maybe that's not fun.
You get used to it. Yeah, I know.
We've just enabled him.
I know. Don't ruin my hero.
Sorry. But yeah, I know it happened in like 79, 80 when he took a job like at Atlantic City as a casino host, and he wasn't allowed to be in MLB because of that.
Yeah, it just so happens I'm on the Wikipedia page and can confirm this information. 1979 it was.
No!
Yes! All right.
No!
I've ruined Willie Mays for you. I'm so sorry.
The way he talks about gambling, I'm like, you do this a lot. That's cool. Whatever.
It does say that he was.
Jordan gambles too much. I'm like, if I was Michael Jordan, I'd probably gamble too. I just don't do it because it hurts every time I lose $20. It hurts my heart. I think of how much work I did to get that $20. So yeah.
It does say that he wasn't allowed to place bets and he was employed purely as a greeter. So we're not completely trashing Willie Mays on tonight's.
I never did. Never did.
No, neither did I.
I definitely foobarred our conversation in the beginning, but
so I'm a bit of an amateur historian. So I used to do This Day on Baseball, and so that was one reason I know that because that was when Baxter came up.
Okay.
So that
I'm not sure how his health is, unfortunately, anymore. I'm not sure. I haven't seen or heard a lot about it. But I hope he's doing well. And Brooks Robinson is another cool experience. While I didn't meet him during all this like marathon of surgeries this summer. I've said Brooks Robinson's one of my favorite players because I was always in love with defense. I found it so beautiful and maybe one of the few people that actually enjoy watching defense as much, if not more than the offense. And I have a signed Brooks Robinson jersey, just love him. And I'd heard such nice things about him. And I think I said it on like an Instagram live or something that he was one of my favorite players. And people were sending things to donate to a charity auction because my surgeries were getting close to $56,000. And because of the misdiagnosis, it was all out of my pocket. And at that point I was, very grateful for the help. And so packages were coming in often, and I get one, and it's a tube, and it says it's from Brooks Robinson. I'm like, which one of my friends thinks they're so funny right now? Like, I just assumed one of my friends was being hilarious, pretending it was from Brooks Robinson. Open it up, and it's shoot, I didn't have the webcam. I'd show you, but it's a Norman Rockwell, one of Norman Rockwell's, I think, only baseball ones, and I think it's titled "Hey Brooks" or something. He's signing baseballs, and you wrote a personal message on there that basically is like, I've been thinking about you during your surgeries and your recovery. I hope that you're healthy, and I get to say hi to you one day. Like,
Awesome.
never met the guy, never even got to chat with him. And so I sent him an original back, and the only conversations I've had are through our mailings. And it's pretty cool though, like to have something like that show up on your doorstep when I just found out that day I needed a 7th surgery, and I was choked. Like, I was just like, oh man, I haven't even recovered from the 6th one. Like, and when that came in the mail, I was like, oh my, one of my friends is just so hilarious. And I opened it up, and sure enough, it's from him. And it hangs right next to the Forbes article, because the Forbes thing it's a bit narcissistic to hang an article of you in your apartment, but I worked for a company where I was definitely like the kid that went to community college, and everybody else went to MIT and Harvard. So I feel pretty proud that I'm in Forbes. And
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
you're absolutely allowed one "fuck you" piece on your wall.
Woo, Forbes.
Yeah, yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, that's why no one thought I'd be in Forbes today. You would say stuff like that. Like, suck, it's inappropriate. Don't say that. Sorry. Wait. So yeah, it hangs right next to that. And it's just kind of this memory of like how tight the baseball family and community is. That a player that should never even know who I am, quite honestly, in terms of his greatness and where I'm at in life, took time out of his life to sign a copy of the Norman Rockwell painting and send it to me just to wish me well. Like, someone that's special. Just the baseball community can be really, really like a family. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool pen pal to have for sure.
Yeah, don't hate it. I don't hate it.
You said you're idolizing defense. It could have been Russ Davis or Jim Presley, but at least it's Brooks Robinson.
It is. I mean, the human vacuum. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, have you ever watched the Battered Bastards of Baseball? I think it's called.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't think of the guy's name, but he's like, and this guy named Brooks Robinson. I was like, okay, I can maybe beat him out at third. I love that sentence, because as soon as they say it, anybody that knows Brooks Robinson is like, oh, bad decision. Nope, he was actually really good at that. Yeah, and then he kind of laughs. He's like, so I didn't play a lot at third. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably one of Willie Mays, that, and Ricky Henderson was pretty fun too. And there's so many different special ones for different reasons too. Like my first delivery, or just certain personalities too. Like getting to talk with Brian Johnson of the Red Sox. Is he the greatest superstar of all time? No, but he's one of the first people that talked about mental health. And so I will forever, that will be a very special connection to me for life. There's different reasons. Jackie Bradley Jr. is really all of the Vanderbilt baseball players. I don't know who their coaches, but they have raised those men very well. They're just great family oriented, just lovely humans with great personalities and attitudes, and respect people. And they don't make you feel like they're a big leaguer and you're, there to give them their art and they just ignore you. I mean, I've got bats from them that have lovely notes on them. And I've become closer with the Walker Buehler's family, especially their dad has been really supportive of my art. And, each delivery has its own kind of special bit to it. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever be able to top Willie Mays.
Yeah.
That one's
That's actually really nice to hear, because I'm sure there's a fair proportion of them are dicks as well. So it's nice that you've not had that experience.
But there's been a few where I'm like, never again.
Yeah, that's okay. We won't go fishing there. Don't worry.
There's honestly so few. I was actually surprised. There's a lot of humble players in baseball. It's like they're good old farm boys, most of them. I swear. There's a couple where you're just like, wow, you're not my favorite. But that's happened twice. I will say Domingo Santana, I brought him art and he's like, I don't want it.
Jesus.
I don't mind telling people that one because it was so brutal. I was just like,
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
like, what do you say that? I was just like, I'll just put it back in my bag.
Oh,
It was
gosh.
like I was giving art to D. Gordon and Mitch Haniger and Marco Gonzalez that day, and I was like, you just told me you didn't want my art, and they were like, oh, like it was so awkward. And then I feel like I got the best karma because then I'm sitting in the outfield watching that game. And he missed the most obvious fly ball, and I was like, oh.
Catch
Karma
this,
gotcha. Suck it, Domingo.
He got suspended that year for, I don't know, steroids or some shit. And I was like, well, I don't feel sorry. Maybe you should have taken my art. Because no one's going to buy it. God. Yeah, that one I don't mind calling out because he straight up was like, nah, I don't want that. I was like, oh. Like, I know. Just put it back in my bag, just casually. Like, no big deal. Wasn't bringing it for you.
Yeah. It's for a different Domingo Santana, actually.
Yeah, it looks a lot like you, but it's actually not.
Yeah. Don't you have a brother?
Yeah, it was never for you. I just was showing you. So I was actually going to burn it, but I just wanted you to see it first. That was definitely that's the only name I'll use because that was specifically like, wow. Okay, but yeah, no, most people have been absolutely wonderful to deal with and have been a lot of fun. So.
We want to call it a night. We've taken 2 hours of your time, and we
Realize
appreciate.
it's probably the middle of the night for you guys right now.
Oh gosh,
It's approaching 11 p.m. So we're just like as dads with young girls, we're just hitting our stride. This is our quiet time. This is where we're productive. And
That's where I crashed from staying up too late last night. It's like 3 p.m. here, where I'm like, coffee.
Well, on
yeah,
on the subject of coffee, I know that Jason had a critical question that we have to get in.
So this is one of the big questions we need to ask. So, is it Tim Hortons or Starbucks these days?
Ew, neither.
Oh, no.
No, Jason, I liked you till now. No, I am. This is what's sad. It's like medicinal. I'm like so far in my addiction that I have a fancy espresso machine, and it's like medicinal shooters of just straight espresso. But I am kind of snobby. I'm like a wine snob, but only it's coffee. Like I can taste.
Yeah.
I feel like one of those people that's like accents of cocoa, a little bit of birchwood. Like I swear, I don't like the floral hints of this one. But I am obsessed with coffee, and so when people say Tim Hortons or Starbucks, I'm like, maybe that's my last choice, and I have a really bad headache. I actually so bad that I bought a portable, like for camping, a high pressure hand
Yeah.
pump,
Oh yeah.
so I could bring it to hotel rooms with me when I traveled to games.
No, that's a true Northwester. I mean, we were on the coffee culture long before everyone else. You know.
But I will say, I for years was obsessed with Starbucks. So I shouldn't rip on it. It's just I started getting Vancouver's very lot of very fancy breweries and coffee roasters. So I got kind of spoiled. And now once you've had like a really good espresso, it's hard to be like Tim Hortons. I'm like, is this just dark water? What is this? Starbucks, I'm like, is this burnt water? Like, you just don't know. But wow, I just made myself very unrelatable. And I'm
No, actually, you're not. So we used to do
all your audience is like, hey, she's the worst.
No, I'm the same way because I get my coffee from Sweden because it's got to be Swedish roast that we have. Because my wife's Swedish, and so it can only be the Swedish coffee.
Up at us like he's done with us.
Yeah. Clearly, you're better than me, so I know my place.
Maybe try harder. Don't have the kingdom. No, you have the kingdom in the background. You better hold at Starbucks. I mean, I feel like it's only fair.
Yeah, full Seattle. Yeah, full send on Seattle tonight.
No, I'm not proud of where I'm at in my addiction. Okay, I'm like the connoisseur of my drug now. It's a problem. I have a 10-year-old golden retriever and a 2-year-old, and my friend and I always joke that Fenway is like so annoyed lately that I work too much, and my machine makes a lot of sounds when the pump's going and when I'm grinding the beans, and every time I do it, and it's like past 5. I swear to God, she's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, too late. I thought we were going to bed tonight. I thought we were all going to bed tonight. Like she looks at me like she is so disappointed. Like, we don't have espresso after 5, Mom. And the little one's like, yes. But no, I swear she's disappointed in me right now. Let me see if I can do this without.
So is it only espresso, or do you do French press coffee?
Do you see her right now?
Oh yeah, she's passed out.
Yeah, that's how all she wants life to be. So when
Yeah.
she's
Hey.
like,
Don't we all? I can relate.
Did you sleep like that too? Just
Yeah, just starfish. Yeah, mad starfish. Yeah.
I'd wake up with like my neck hurting and my back and all the things. But yeah, fair
Yeah.
question about that. So it is. I have to say I do work really long hours, and especially lately. But if I was doing any other job I've had in the past, it would be a lot different. But I genuinely enjoy what I do, so it's just it doesn't feel quite so abusive, you know, like it's more just like, oh shoot, I'm just still working, I should probably head to bed. But I do want to get to a point, you know, where I'm a little bit more in moderation with my hours. But this tops thing has been such a, so I have a full-time online store. And so that was already getting busy. And then with the tops thing and not knowing how to like not engage with every comment that says my name was, yeah, it's a challenge. But that's why okay, since you guys are super famous, if Breville hears this, I want to be sponsored by you because I do good by your products. That is my third Breville machine.
Right.
Wow, you're wearing them out.
Wearing them out, right?
I want the next tier. I give them a shout out on every podcast. They fuel me. So you guys are famous, so tell Breville, okay?
I don't know about famous, infamous perhaps. But...
Yeah.
Hey, it's
You're
the same
infamous. You had one of the only baseball injuries in the UK. You were infamous for that.
I was infamous. I did manage to get baseball into the mainstream British media by crashing into one of my teammates and breaking his leg in 4 places. I mean, I'm dedicated to get those column inches.
Probably less proud, but you know, you at least you didn't break it in one spot. You want to make sure you got some good time off work.
Yeah, that's it. So I guess as being somebody who's inflicted a major injury on somebody, I can sort of see kind of both sides a little bit of your story. I kind of
You're like you didn't mean to.
Yeah, I walked away with cracked ribs, and yeah, he was like in hospital for a while. So.
You should have kept complaining about your ribs. Been like, bro, my wrist.
I had to drive 5 hours home right after doing it. I tell you, baseball.
I could hear the
baseball in
screams,
UK.
the pitchers about ah.
I just send him flowers, and the note says, "My ribs hurt so bad."
Yeah.
In the hospital, he gets a little gift basket and it just says, "My ribs hurt, but I forgive you."
Yeah. Yeah, baseball. Yeah, amateur baseball in the UK is pretty wild.
I feel like I need to watch a game if legs get snapped in 4 places and ribs. And
It's very interesting. So you have guys who have played. Maybe we've had guys play in the minor leagues. We have guys that have played collegiate ball, and then you literally have guys who have like, I just went to Fenway and have a glove, but I'm right-handed, so I have a right-handed glove, but I like baseball. So
I played when I first moved here. We wanted to play co-ed or rec slow pitch, and I was like, I don't know anyone, and they're like, well, you can sign up as an individual and we'll put you on a team. I'm like, well, that thing makes me feel like a loser, but all right. I was with all the ESL students, so no one spoke English, and it was just me. And they're like, do they bring gloves? And I'm like, no, do you have a glove? And one girl brought out her glove. It was a Dora the Explorer from like Canadian Tire, like a little kid's glove. And she like puts it on her hand. I was like, oh God. Oh God. And the other team was a normal team. And I was just like, I'll play shortstop, pitcher, catcher, first, second. You guys go right out. Like, and they're like, wow, that glove is nice. I'm like, it's okay. Oh boy. I think I made it about 2 games and I was like, this isn't going to work. Someone's going to get killed.
Yeah.
So, but hey, that's what happens when you don't know how to make friends because you played, college and high school athletics, and you're like, how do I do this with real people? You just go up and ask people, like, how does that work? So yeah, but you gentlemen probably are ready to get to bed. So I will.
Gosh, we'll be up for another couple hours. But yes, I know I get accused of chatting up guys all the time because I see people with baseball hats. Like, you're a baseball fan? Yes.
Oh, I think I'm like, Red Sox fan, and they look at me. I'm like, and they're like, oh, I just liked it.
Just like the hat, yeah.
Embarrassing me. Why'd you embarrass me? They just say yes next time, and I won't feel so stupid. Or I've gone as far as being like, 4-3, we're up against the Rays, 8th inning, and they just look at me like, and my friend Sean, who I'm often out walking the dogs with, is like, you're so embarrassing. Like, it never, no one ever says back, Oh yeah, what inning? Whenever. No one has ever reciprocated you. Just stop. I'm like, okay, all right. Jesus.
It's funny you say that because I was wearing my Green Monsters hoodie I have, and this lady like tracked me down. She's, "Are you a Red Sox fan?" I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "Yes, someone can speak the sport. I'm from Boston. I cannot wait." And
I
she was
feel a little bit like that even in Canada. They'll be like, "What's your dog's name?" I'm like, "Fenway." And they're like, "Runway?" I'm like, "No, Runway." And why would they name my dog Runway? She's really pretty, but that's a bit narcissistic. Like no, Fenway. And they're like, Fenway. I'm like the park. They're like, I go, forget it. They're like, "What's the other one's name?" I'm like, "Shay." And at least that sounds kind of normal. But I'm like, it's a baseball. The Red Sox. Never mind. Runway. Her name's Runway.
Runway. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah.
Super pretty. Yeah. Named her after a runway because she pretty much could be. Yeah.
Any
So that's
questions to wrap up.
No, I've sparked off some kind of riot by bringing up Starbucks versus Tim Hortons. There seems to be a lot of love for Tim Hortons in the chat.
Timmy's is good. The donut, the Timbits, the donuts.
Oh yes, yeah. Now you're preaching to the choir. Yeah, yep.
Lots of things about Tim Hortons. Their tea is even really good. I just don't. See, I'm gonna start a riot by saying their tea's good.
No. You're on the perfect show for it. It is Tea and Tops after all.
Tea and Tops, exactly.
Be like,
Yeah, I like your commitment to the brand, and that's a fantastic way to end it. So thank you for a tea reference.
I'm a big fan of Earl Grey.
Oh my God! Right, quick before there actually is a riot. English breakfast or death?
That's what I meant. Did I say Earl Grey? Shoot. Breakfast.
So Laura, if you want to hang out a couple of minutes, I'll wrap things up here just for the guys that are watching. So yeah, once again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us, let alone giving over like the best part of over 2 hours now of your time. It's been really great. So from Jason and myself, thank you very much. I know that the guys commenting along have been enjoying it as well. We've had your socials up on the stream all night. So at I'll let you. LT Illustration.
You let her give her own socials.
I can't read it. I know. I've got so many videos open monitoring the questions.
Everything but Twitter, and then Twitter is LT Illustrations because you can't. It's kind of long. But Lauren Taylor Illustrations for Instagram, Facebook, my websites.com, and then Twitter LT Illustrations.
LT Illustrations, fantastic. So yeah, thank you very much, Jason. As always, thank you for joining us and for doing all the legwork and getting Lauren on. As I keep saying, Jason does all the legwork, and I'm just here to make it look pretty. So that gives you an idea on just how bad this is. So yeah, thanks again for watching along, everybody. This will be available as a podcast from 9 p.m. UK time on Wednesday. Available on all your favorite podcast locations. You can watch us back on YouTube and Twitch. We have a link tree now, which is nice, so it saves me spending 15 minutes trying to disseminate links. And yeah, thanks very much, everybody. We'll see you next Monday. I think next Monday it's just Jason and I.
Jason and I, yeah.
Yeah, well, and we'll get caught up on news and stuff then. So, Lauren, thanks very much.
You're very welcome.
And yeah, we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Night.